Hey, this is Brian, and this is another video on my web application NetChecklist.com, which is a web-based checklist application that I use for managing business processes. And in this video, I was going to go over how I use it for my real estate business with Coldwell Banker, Howard Perry, and Walston. And the reason I wanted to show this is because I've got checklists set up that I think pretty much follow our business processes, how we do things using some of the tools that we use, primarily .loop. And I thought I'd do this to show some of you what it can, what the application can do in a real world example with something that you can probably relate to. Now, if you see something in the checklist or something that isn't the way you do it, or that you think isn't right or shouldn't be that way, don't worry about that. The checklist can be changed. It's a very flexible application. This is just how I set it up. Now, I am using one a feature in here that I haven't really released to anybody other than myself, but it's pretty cool. It uses shared checklists. So basically what it allows you to do is create checklists on a higher organization level and share them with someone like agents, and they can use them, but they can't change them and they can't delete things, and they're kind of locked in. The only thing that they can do, I'm going to click on my checklist button here, and I've got other videos about this, but see here, this isn't a real organization. This is just one that I temporarily set up. And under this organization's checklist, I don't have any, but shared checklists I do. And here's one for a list side new listing. And if I click on it, I can't edit this item. I can see what it is, but I can edit user assignments. And so basically, if I had an assistant, now right now I'm the only member of this organization, but if I had an assistant, I could assign things on this checklist to my assistant. So when I use it, it could assign some things to me and some things to my assistant. It wouldn't mess up the checklist for anybody else. The assignments are unique for each organization that the checklist is shared with. So me and 100 other agents could be using the same checklist, and we could all assign things to different people, but the checklist items would still stay the same. So the only thing we could change is the assignments. I'm not really trying to do this video on that, but I'm just going to show you a couple of examples. Now, if you're not familiar at all with how this works, I've got some other videos on it. I'm actually still working on them. But basically, if I got, it's a task-based management application. If I got a new listing, here's what I would do. I would say that I want to copy a checklist to my task list, this button right here, and I'm going to say I'm going to do a new list. Say I got a new listing. It's a shared, and I have to tell it a couple of things. I have to tell it a project. Now, I'd already set up 123 Anywhere Drive, which so let's say that's the house that I'm listing, and I'm going to assign everything to me. I'm the only member of this organization, so that it only can assign things to me. Checklist copy name is optional, and this is something that's set up as part of the checklist, part of the new listing checklist that I created. It's going to ask for the listing expiration date, and let's go in here and let's say it's going to expire on October 31st. And copy a checklist. That's all there is to copying a checklist. It just copied a checklist. It added 38 tasks to my task list. It created 39 task dependencies. I'll talk about that in a minute. Made 32 tasks inactive and added 2 task branch additions. 0 errors. Basically what the dependencies are, and there's a video on this, but tasks can be dependent on other tasks, and that's where if one task can't be completed until something else has been completed. And so what they do is the dependent tasks, they're added to the task list, but they're marked inactive, so they don't show up until whatever task or tasks they're dependent on have been marked complete. It's a really useful feature. The biggest point is to keep your task list concise. I only want to see what I can do and what I need to do right now. And also the tasks, the independent and dependent tasks can be assigned different things. So if I can't do something until my assistant has done something, then I won't see my task, and as soon as they mark theirs complete, then my task will pop up. So it's very useful. This page is what I call the checklist copied page. It just shows all of the checklist copies that have been made, not the tasks that belong to it. But see here, it says that on 7/8/15 I made a copy of the list side new listing checklist. I copied it for the project 123 Anywhere Drive, and right now 0 out of those 38 tasks have been completed. I can filter, this will go to my task list and filter only to see that project, but I really don't have to do that because that's the only thing I've got right now. So I can just go to my home page And so out of all those tasks that were added, there's only 6 showing up right now. Those are the only 6 that weren't dependent on something else. So first it's going to tell me create a loop in .loop and make a folder in it called listing documents, see description below. And here it gives me an example. It says I want to name my loop property address dash listing dash seller name. So for example, 123 Main Street, listing John and Mary Smith. Now if you're in your office, that's not how you do it, that's fine, that could be changed, but that's kind of how I've been told to do it. So let's say I completed that. Now on here, as you're going down here, it says process task updates. There's a similar button at the very bottom. You can mark as many of these complete as you want as you're going through this, and when you process updates, it'll do them for however many there are. So let's say right now that's the only one that you completed, and you mark that complete. And so all it did right now is mark one task complete. Nothing was dependent on that. Next, let's prepare working with real estate agents and send it to the sellers to sign if they haven't already. That's assuming you're using .loop signatures. If they're in the office, you can do it there. Next, we're going to prepare the residential property and owner's disclosure statement and send it to sellers to fill and sign. And let's mark that complete. And when we do that, here, it marked that complete. One dependency was deleted and one dependent task was activated. And I can tell you the dependent task was get the residential property and owner's disclosure statement back from the seller, filled out and signed. So that kind of makes sense that that would be dependent on that. We're going to prepare the oil and gas rights disclosure and send it to the sellers. Let's mark that complete. That also activated a dependency, which again was get it back from them signed. Check to see if I'm going to skip that for now. Okay. Fill out the listing agreement, send it to the sellers to sign. Get the residential property and owner's disclosure statement back. This is going to activate multiple dependencies, but I think you'll be able to follow it. Let's say we mark all these complete and get the mineral and gas rights thing back. Let's process all of those updates. Now see 3 were marked complete, 3 dependent tasks were activated, 6 dependencies were deleted. So here now we see we need to get the listing agreement back from the sellers with signatures. We're going to take pictures of the property, and we're going to upload the residential property and oil, gas, mineral rights to .loop if necessary. Now if you got them signed in .loop, you won't have to do that, but if you got regular signatures, you would need to do that. We'll process those updates. Now marking that listing agreement signed, I know that's what activated 12 dependencies, because a lot of things are dependent on that. The first one was upload that to .loop if necessary. We'll say that's complete. But I also activated on that. We're going to put a sign in the yard. We're going to put a lockbox on the house. We said that we took pictures, so now it's going to tell us to download the pictures to the computer and edit and resize them if necessary. We're going to enter the property into the MLS. If the seller says the house is connected to a sewer, we're going to verify the connection. And in Goldsboro, you do that. You can put descriptions on all these. You call Justine Lamb with the city of Goldsboro at 580-4367 and ask her, and she's very nice. She can tell you about it. But obviously that could be different in Raleigh or wherever else you are. If the house is on a septic system, get a copy of the septic permit. Roger will appreciate having that on there because we're supposed to do that all the time. And again, here it says in Goldsboro, you call the Wayne County Environmental Health Department at 919-731-1174, give them the property address, and they will email you a copy. So, you know, even brand new agents can see this. Oh, well, you know, okay, here's what I'm supposed to do, and here's how I do it. So it really, you know, makes it super simple. If they got any renovations or additions, make sure they got a permit. Oh, yeah, well, I do need to do that. So Roger will appreciate that too. We're going to fill out our listing input form in .loop. And in our office, we still write them on a sales board in the hallway. You may or may not do that. Let's mark all those complete. We activated 11 more dependencies now. I'm deliberately skipping that. Check if it was built before 78. We've entered an MLS. Carefully review the listing in MLS for errors. The reason I put this, again, goes back to if you have an assistant, you can assign putting it in MLS to your assistant, but assign this to yourself. And so you won't see this till your assistant has marked complete that they've entered it. And then when this pops up, it does 2 things. Number 1, it tells you, hey, you always want to check behind your assistant and make sure they did it right. But number 2, it's more than that. It's a notification that they've done it and they've marked it complete. So it's an automatic communication as well. When this pops up, you know, okay, well, they've marked it off. And if you go a day or 2 and you don't see this, you may want to say, hey, have you put that in MLS yet? It's been, you know, it's been a little while. So let's mark that complete. This was activated based on putting it in MLS. This is, I'm sure Triangle MLS has something similar. If the house is vacant or it has an alarm or a coded lockbox, you need to put that in the showing criteria in MLS. What that's going to do is when you approve a showing in the MLS, it's going to notify the showing agent that, hey, this house has an alarm or a coded lockbox, and what the code is if they need to know it, alarm code or coded lockbox code. And on the vacant, in our MLS, you can set Navica to automatically approve showings, which means you don't have to do it, and it's faster whenever an agent requests it. And again, in the description down here, it says all of that. You can set Navica's our MLS. You guys up there don't know that. You can set Navica to automatically approve your showings, so you won't have to approve them. And the agent who's requesting the showing will be notified much more quickly if it has an alarm or lockbox, blah, blah, blah. So it tells you all that there. Let's mark that complete, and let's also also upload pictures to MLS. I can tell you right now that was dependent on two items. It was dependent on entering the house into MLS, and it was dependent on downloading the pictures to your computer and editing them. So it's going to take, even if you're doing all of this and you don't have an assistant, it still takes you step by step through your process. Upload the residential property and owner's disclosures statement to the MLS. That was activated when we said we had put it in MLS. People in our market forget to do that all the time, and it's very aggravating. Also upload the mineral oil and gas rights disclosure statement to the MLS. Same thing. Once we've filled out, we've uploaded, this was dependent on a bunch of things. It was dependent on uploading everything into .loop if necessary, and all those being marked complete, and doing your listing input form. Once those are all marked complete, you get this to change your list status, loop status to active, and submit for review in .loop. So we'll say yes, that's complete. We're also going to make flyers for our listing. That was dependent on having the listing agreement signed, and again downloading your pictures and editing them, because you obviously need pictures. Process updates. God, we're activating more things. I'm still deliberately skipping that. We submitted for review in .loop, so now we need to get it approved. In our office, we're still kind of putting an MLS page in the floor book, and that's only activated once the pictures are uploaded. We're probably going to drop that, but it's there for now. You also want to email your seller a link to the MLS page for approval. That was also dependent on it being put in MLS and uploading the pictures. Sending it to them for approval accomplishes several things. Number one, it lets them know that, hey, he has in fact put it in MLS, and it's not just sitting on his desk and not doing anything. It also will help get them to help you catch any errors. If you've done anything wrong, you obviously want to know as soon as possible. And if your seller calls you and said, hey, that master bath doesn't have ceramic tile, it has vinyl, then you need to get that changed in MLS as soon as possible. So we'll send that to them, and once we've made flyers, we're going to put flyers in the flyer box. Let's mark all those complete. Now we're down to this only one task. If we remember when we copied it, it said one task branch was added, and this is it right here. A task branch is where it can go in different directions based on how you answer a question. In this case, the question is, okay, the task is check to see if it was built prior to 78. That question is, was it built prior to 78, yes or no? It's going to do certain things if you answer yes, which means you need to file a lead-based paint addendum, you need to get it signed, you need to upload it to .loop if necessary, and you need to upload it to MLS. Let's go to checklist. Let's look at that real quick. Here it's a separate checklist. New listing, lead paint disclosure. We're going to prepare it and send it to sellers to sign, get it back from the sellers signed, filled out and signed, upload it to MLS, and upload it to .loop if necessary. Now, it's only going to, let me go to my checklist branch and show you that. Oh, it's not in here because it's shared. Never mind. Sorry, I can't do that. You'd have to go to the parent organization to see that. Okay, if I try to mark this complete without answering the question, okay, I'm going to do that. It won't do it. It says one error, one task not marked complete. The task, check to see if it was built, was not marked complete because you did not answer the question. You have to answer the question. Also, if you, right now, task complete says no. If you answer yes, it automatically changes complete to yes for you. If you change that to no, it changes that to don't answer yet. Or if you answer no, it says that. Now on this, now if you truly don't want it to do either part of the branch, you can delete it. And then it won't do either part of the branch. In this case, if you answer no, I can tell you it's not going to do anything else. Because if it wasn't built prior to 78, you don't need a lead paint disclosure. But if you answer yes, which I'll do, and it marks it yes for me, I'm going to say process updates. It tells it that one task was marked complete, another checklist was copied, 4 tasks were copied, 3 dependencies were added, and 1 task branch was activated. And now if we go back to that checklist copied page, now we see that it copied for us new listing lead-based paint disclosure checklist for the project 123 Anywhere Drive. 0 of 4 of those tasks have been completed. Sorry. Down here we now see that 32 of our 38 tasks for that initial group have been completed. So let's go back here, and so we're going to prepare the lead paint disclosure and send it to them. We'll mark that complete. We're going to get it back from them filled out and signed, mark that complete, upload it to the MLS and upload it to .loop, mark those complete. Now, right now we have no tasks showing up, but let's go back to our checklist copy page, and 32 of those 38 tasks for the new listing have been complete. So 6 of them are missing in action. The other checklist, the lead paint one, is not showing up, and that's because by default, this page only displays checklist copies that still have uncompleted items. If we want to see all of them, we can change display completed checklist to yes, update, and now it does show up. It says all tasks for this task group are complete, 4 out of 4, so that's why it wasn't showing up. But let's go back to our checklist. We got 6 missing tasks here, and I actually know why they're missing. By default, our task list only displays things that are assigned to you up through the current date, which today is 7/8. So anything assigned to me after 7/8 is not showing up yet. Let's change this to say, okay, we want to see things up through 7/10. Okay, and once we change that, we're going to update our filtering. I'm sorry, I didn't go far enough. Let's go up to 7/16. Okay, here's some more tasks. This one is assigned on 7/11, which is basically 3 days, and it's going to tell me to set up seller to receive email updates from ListHub. Now, why is that delayed? Well, from the time you put it in MLS, it needs a couple of days to propagate through to ListHub. So I've got it delayed deliberately a couple of days. Again, you don't need to see that if you're going to go into ListHub and it's not there yet. Now, you could say, well, it doesn't need to be delayed 3 days. It only needs to be delayed 1 day or 2 days. Whatever, that's fine. You can change that. And it gives you description, because people, okay, number one, we always forget to set it up ListHub, but it tells us log into ListHub, go to inventory, and for the property, click on seller email and enter their info. Under schedule, select send the report periodically. Under CC agent, select yes to get a copy of the report too. So it tells you what to do. Let's mark that complete. It also tells us email the seller a link to the page on hpw.com. That's also delayed because from the time we put it in MLS, it takes a couple of days to hit it there. And it tells us make sure the listing is correct and all the pictures are showing up first. Okay, so that's telling the seller, look, hey, your house is already showing up on our company website. We can also email a link to Realtor, to the house page on Realtor.com and Zillow.com and Trulia.com. Let's mark all of those complete. Okay, now let's go to our checklist copied. We still, 37 out of 38 are completed. We still have 1 task missing in action, and I know why that is. It also has to do with our date assigned, and let's go all the way to October 31st. That's when our listing's expiring. And actually, and this one pops up and says urgent, it is assigned on 10/16, so not on 10/31, and that's because it's assigned with a lead time. When you put in 10/31, it says I want to know this about 15. I think I've got it set 15 days ahead of time, or it might be 14, something like that. Anyway, because you need to know ahead of time your listing is expiring, contact the owner and find out if they want to relist the property. The listing expires on 10/31, so it tells you it expires on 10/31. It also tells you that here. This is also a branch task. Does the owner want to relist the property? Yes or no. Okay, so again, we can, if let's say yes. Okay, and this is going to be different. This actually will do one thing if yes and something different for no. It can be either or. Obviously it has to be one or the other, otherwise it wouldn't be a point in having it. But if you say yes, they want to relist it, it's going to tell you, okay, well then you need to get a listing extension signed, you need to change the date in MLS, blah blah blah. If the answer is no, it's going to tell you, okay, we'll pick up your sign and lockbox, give them the keys back, and do all that. Let's say yes, process updates. Copied another checklist, and it tells us prepare the listing renewal form. Okay, we'll do that. Get it signed by the owners. Let's do that. See, we're all the way out in October now. Change the listing expiration date in MLS. Yes, and we're done. I think that was all on that one actually. Yeah, relisted property. There was only 3 on it. So hope that gives you a good idea. I'll do another video because I've also got checklists for. I probably won't do the price change, but I'll do a list side pending and a buyer side pending. And see, here's those checklists for what happens if you relist the property or if you don't relist property. Don't relist property, you're going to pick that up. So, all right, thanks for watching.